So I thought we'd start out today with an unboxing of something that came in the mail this week. This will be yet another project. I've got a couple other projects. My Altair 8800 project to get it into the reproduction case, and that's waiting on some parts. I've got a couple other projects again that are waiting on parts. Struggling another project, programming a PIC MX, an MX250, a PIC MX250 32-bit DIP 28 part, and that's a whole different struggle in itself. And it looks like I'm not the only one struggling with being able to program it. But anyhow, this is an upgrade for a project, and pull the invoice out with hopefully not showing my address. And it's full of peanuts. Full of peanuts. Gotta love peanuts. You get a bag here to collect these in. These might be those biodegradable ones that dissolve in water. Cornstarch or something, I don't really know. But we'll get these out of here just because they get everywhere. And you're starting to see bits and pieces of what this is going to be. He said this is an upgrade for a project we did together some time ago. Oh, friggin' peanuts everywhere. So, looks like it'll lift out on its own. That's nice. Now I'll just set the box aside. And we will unwrap this wonderful package of goodness. Take a look at all the bits and pieces here. Of course, based on the title of the video, you already know what this is. Never find where I really don't want to scratch things up. Let's see if we can scissor this out of here. That's got it. So these are the bits and pieces to upgrade the Altair 8800 computer we built in a previous video. This little guy in the bamboo case to an acrylic case that looks similar to the original case, the Altair. I've been told I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Altair as in hair. But to upgrade it to a case that looks a little bit more like the original case rather than the bamboo box. And I don't know if he's got a photo in here. He always does a really nice job with the manuals. I appreciate the spiral bound. Manual. Oh, I don't see a photo here, but it creates. There's an acrylic case here that looks a lot like the original Altair case. So lots of acrylic pieces. I'm not going to peel the paper off those for now. We're going to set these aside because these will get consumed later in the build. And let's take a look at the bag of parts. Oh, that's a lot of hardware. Of course, we've got soldering to do. So this is the new interface board from Adwater Stir that has a VT100 compatible terminal on it. Again, he's able to program the PIC32MX250 himself. I just haven't been able to program any of these. I've got 3 PIC-Kit 3s. I've picked up the PIC-Kit Plus software. PIC-Kit 3s work with PIC 18 series. Just can't get them to see the The PIC32, I actually did have it catch once and catch the device ID. Really frustrating, and like I say, I'm not the only one going through this, but that's really for a different project. Nice bags of parts. Hopefully we're not getting too much glare off this plastic. Actually, I didn't check that. Let me check that before we go too much further, because if that plastic's full of glare, no, it doesn't look like it's too bad. So just typical kit building stuff: resistors, tantalums, standoffs, there's hardware, semiconductors. It looks like, you know, converting for this is somewhat involved. But that's fine, that's what makes it fun. So we've got the program device here. A couple of ICs, lots of connectors. You know, this creates a VT100 compatible interface, PS2 keyboard. I'm sure there's a PS2 connector here. And a VGA output that kind of emulate a VT100, which will make this really kind of cool. SD card adapter, RS-232, power, etc., etc. So pretty cool. So let's do what I always do. Let's start to sort. So we'll sort out all the various connectors. I think we'll throw in here the sockets, the ICs, the mounting hardware, so the nylon standoffs. The things that basically, you know, we'll get the discrete components on the PCB first, and then from there we'll go on to connectors and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm actually sitting here thinking about this other project in my head, and I may throw this PIC32MX 250 into the little programming adapter. I built a couple of them now, and see if I can actually read the contents out, see if I can get the PIC32 to recognize that part. Since it doesn't recognize bot 10 DigiKey, and it just doesn't recognize them. Like I said, one of them it caught once and got the device ID off of. It was a one-time only thing, never did it again. I've looked at tons of forums. It's really interesting to see if this part, which is potentially from a different batch, will actually be seen. If it'll be seen, it kind of helps me narrow down what's going on. So we have really, we're just getting down to all of the discrete components that are going to go on the board. It really looks like it's all of it. Like I say, not too complex a build. Actually, we'll pull the sockets out. We're going to want to solder those up. So pretty nice. So anyhow, there is kind of the hardware sorted out. The things we're going to solder first to the PCB, sorted out. The PCB itself, it looks very straightforward. There's the PIC processor for the VT100 emulation. There's a MAX 232 for level shifting to RS-232 levels. Ribbon cable that goes off to the Altair Arduino. Looks like there's a test serial port connection for the PIC, the in-circuit programming header. Be interesting to see if I can make that work on this board. Like I said, I've really struggled. I've got that PIC32 mess on my mind. Just don't understand why I can't get the PIC Kit 3 to see it when I should be able to. But that's a different project. It has not made video yet, but I think we can start honestly soldering here. So there's a quick introduction. Look at the parts, look at the nice little back panel. So and we'll pick up, I think, in the next video with the doing some soldering. I'll see you in that video.